unusual couple, you know?
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
Doing to see Wanda. Wanda.
Hello and welcome back to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan podcast. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and I have again with me Casey McGeorge.
How is it going, everybody?
It is going good. What can we say? This week flew by for me, and then got to watch another episode of WandaVision. So it's been a wonderful time. Sad we only got one this week, but at least it'll save us time on the recapping, I guess.
Probably not, but that is okay.
I do want to say, though, they finally gave these episodes some titles. So episode 1 is now titled Filmed Before a Live Studio Audience. And episode 2 is now titled Don't Touch That Dial. So very, usual sitcom type sayings.
And it's definitely on brand with those 50s and 60s seasons.
Yes.
Because you would hear a lot of times at the start of some of those shows, film such and such was filmed before a live studio audience. And then, whoever it is, would open the door and come in and start the episode. And then there was also don't touch that dial because so-and-so is coming back, whatever, so.
Yeah, usually right before a commercial break. Or episode 3 is entitled Now in Color, which fits for, the theme of the episode. We're now seeing it in color from the end of the last episode. But also, that's something else that would have been, I believe, said back then as well, once they started having episodes and shows in color.
Yeah, I believe the proliferation of color TVs really started in the 70s.
Yes, there were some shows I think that had color in the 70s, the 60s, but like you said, not everybody would have had those television sets that would have showed color. So this episode was written by Megan McDonnell, directed by Matt Shakman, and it premiered January 22nd, 2021 on Disney+. The theme song, again, written by Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, and the score by Christoph Beck. You can actually now also get the first 2 soundtracks for episodes 1 and 2 on iTunes. I got the 2 theme songs on there, and the end credit theme song. I have a synopsis for us here. Wanda's pregnancy fritzes her powers as she and Vision prepare for an accelerated delivery. What's your initial thoughts on this one, Casey?
Oh, this episode was so good. I love this episode. Granted, we're only 3 episodes into the series so far. And there hasn't been a bad episode in any way. But this is definitely what I meant when I said after episode 2, like I would have to watch everything, because this one was great. And this is, while I haven't watched The Mandalorian, now I get we're looking online and seeing everybody talking about everything after that episode and how they can't wait till the next one comes next Friday, and all the things they're finding. Like I now feel like I'm part of that, and it makes me feel great. And this was just, I love it.
Yes. I agree with that. I've seen a lot of complaints about this being a weekly release, but like I said before, I think I said it last week on here, I like that it gives us that time to be able to dissect these, to watch it multiple times. It feels like, an event, like you're watching, kind of like how it felt when I was watching, you mentioned The Mandalorian, which I watched, but also like Game of Thrones. Now, the only issue with it is that these episodes premiere at 3 a.m. Eastern time, 12 a.m. Pacific, so I'm never up for when they're actually released, so I do have to dodge some spoilers here and there. But it's just so good to have this and have it being doled out, each week, something to look forward to every Friday. This is going to be continuing for the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a lot of this year, because there's I think a week or 2 break between this and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. and then it's going to be just another week or two break between between that and Loki. So it's going to be, pretty steady for the year for me, and I am very excited about that. I thought this episode was great. It's probably I think episode 1 is still my favorite out of these. I think episode 1 nailed the comedy, and that very odd scene at the end was everything I wanted. Episode 2 is probably my least favorite of the bunch. I do think this one surpasses it just for those last 5 minutes that really kick everything into gear. So I guess let's get into it.
I might put this one at the top so far.
I've seen a lot of people say that, so I can see.
Once again, I would have no argument because there hasn't been a bad episode. It's not like, to me, it's not as if one episode was rated like a 9.8, one a 9, and another episode was rated like a 6 or something, right?
Right.
Like if I was going to rate these on a 1 to 10 scale, they'd all be like in the high 9s or something. Like these have all been, I've been at a loss for words, and I can't even remember. I texted you after the episode, just like one simple word, but it was just like, and all you said to me was, yeah, I texted you that, and you're like, oh, you must have watched WandaVision. Yes, I have. I like the weekly release. I actually have plans now every Friday. Like I know for a fact, even if I may not watch Superstore, even if because that comes out on Thursday, I can put that off. But there's no matter what, I'm coming home off of my mail route every Friday, and I'm sitting in front of that TV, and I'm firing up my Disney Plus, and I'm going to put this on. And in all actuality, I may be able to beat you on it this week. I'm getting a 3-day weekend this week, so I'll be off Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I may watch it at midnight this week. I won't spoil it for you if I do.
Yeah.
But
Midnight's a lot more manageable than 3 a.m.
Oh no. Yeah, I get it. For those who don't know, we live on different coasts. I live in California. Jordan lives in Maryland. So but yeah,
I did stay up on Thanksgiving night until 3 a.m. for one of the Mandalorian episodes, though. I did, just because.
Was it one of the finals? Was it one of the final episodes?
No, but it was a big episode. But it was something that like wasn't planned. I guess like I was up watching TV or whatever on CBS All Access. I was watching Big Brother, and then my wife was doing something, I think, related to her Scentsy business, and she was staying up, and I was like, come on, why don't we go up to bed? It's like 1 o'clock, 12:45, something like that. And she's like, just give me a little bit longer. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll watch another episode of Big Brother or whatever. And it, those are like 40 minutes long. So then it gets to like 1:30, and I'm like, do you just want to stay up for another hour and a half and wait until 3 a.m. and watch this thing? Because I knew it was going to be a big episode, and I was like not wanting to be spoiled at all. So, and she sleeps in a lot, so I would have had to wait like hours after waking up to watch it. So
yeah,
I was like,
you're married, so you have that. You can't watch it.
Yes.
Like you would be divorced if you watched an episode without her. So I get that. I get that.
Yes. So I did. We did stay up till 3 a.m. and watched it, and we regretted it the next day. Luckily, it was a holiday. It was Black Friday, so I was off. So I don't know how people do it all the time. Like, there's lots of people that stay up till 3 a.m. to watch Mandalorian and WandaVision, and then go into work, at like 6 or 7 a.m. where they have to get into the office. And I could not do that. Even though I work from home right now and just have to go 5 feet down the hall, I could not probably function well, because, the episodes are anywhere from 30 to 40 some minutes. So yes, you stay up till 3 o'clock. It's not going to end until 3:45, 3:50 at the latest. And then,
you're not
go
going
to
be able
bed.
to go right to bed.
No, you're going to be browsing on Reddit, talking about it to people.
Or you just got to come down from what you just saw.
Exactly. And you get to, 4:30? And then I have to be in this room by 8 o'clock for my work. That would be 3.5 hours. I cannot last the whole day at work after that. And a lot of times I go in the office on Fridays instead. So then I would actually have to wake up at 6:30, and that would be 2 hours of sleep. So I can't do it. I wish I could, but I can't do it all the time. Let's get into it. It starts off with the theme song, very Brady Bunch-esque font. The graphics kind of remind me of Brady Bunch, where they're, multiple, not squares, but they use like hexagons, I guess.
Well, even the house layout this time.
Yes, the house is the reverse of Brady Bunch. Where Brady Bunch, you walk in on the right and you go left to the stairs. This is you walk in on the left and go right. And they even kind of reference it with the 1 + 1 = more than 2. It's kind of like the whole adding up of family members type of thing. Very Brady Bunch-esque. We get into, the doctor, I think his name was Nielsen. Dr. Nielsen is checking in on Wanda and says that she's 4 months along. At this point, we don't know how quickly it's been, right? But Vision then kind of gives us the hint because he's concerned, and the doctor starts giving, how big the baby is at each stage via what size of fruit it is. So it's simpler for women to understand, is what he says. So we get a very sexist doctor.
Those women in the 60s and 70s, their small brains can't handle anything.
Right. So it's Vision asks how big the baby would be if it was 12 hours. So now we kind of know it's been 12 hours since the end of episode 2. I like when he says it's been 4 months, like the doctor, and like Wanda's nodding her head and Vision's like shaking it.
Shaking his head, no. One thing I gotta like too, Vision coming strong with dad jokes already.
Oh, the papaya?
Yeah. He's gonna be a proud papa, whatever it was. Vision coming with the strong dad jokes.
Yes. The doctor states that, it's normal for Vision and dads to get nervous, and Vision mentions how he has nerves of steel because he's not real.
Technically, he is not wrong.
Yes, he is not wrong. But then Dr. Nielsen mentions that he's going to be going on vacation a bit, and it was good that Vision called when he did. He's going to Bermuda. And we see Herb trimming some bushes, right? But he's now going through the stone fence.
Herb doesn't look like himself here.
No, and Vision's very concerned. What was your take on this? What made him go from the bushes down to the stone, and would that actually go through stone? Is this part of this whole alternate reality type thing that we have going on here?
So as I'm watching this, and I see he has like his eyes are glassed over, and he just kind of has this blank look on his face, like he's just staring off into the distance. I think it was one of those clues they're trying to give us about something, but I don't know what. And I just couldn't figure out like why Herb was not himself, I guess is the best way to put it. Silly thought. Maybe I'm right or wrong. What is who is the character we see later, the black lady? Who's actually Monica Rambeau, I guess?
Yes, that's Monica Rambeau, yes, from the from Captain Marvel.
What is her character's name?
Her name is in this she's going by Geraldine. But
I thought Geraldine was his wife. I guess I was just wrong.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we'll learn that for sure. I guess we don't know who Herb's wife is. I don't think we've seen that.
Maybe Herb doesn't even have a wife. Don't know, but I don't know why. Maybe in my simple mind, I just put the two black characters together. I'm pretty sure that's probably it, but I thought they were married. Especially, I thought I saw them interacting or sitting at a table or something before too. I don't know. I'm just imagining things probably.
Yeah, I don't think I think the first time we saw her was last episode, and she was more with Wanda at the Gottie's place, and then she was the stage manager. Yeah. So that's where first hint that something's kind of up in this episode, and it's actually played for laughs. The laugh track is going, but it's a little bit more concerning, I think here. I don't really have a theory on this. I think it's almost that he was just mindlessly doing what he's supposed to be doing and just kept going from the tree limbs down, the branches down to the stone wall. And I guess he didn't really come out of it until, Vision asks if he's all right. But it's definitely a hint to something that I think we might, be able to look back a few weeks from now and be like, okay, this is what's going on. When Vision enters the house, which is just minutes later, Wanda's stomach has grown even more. Her belly.
Bigger.
Yes. And she almost knocks off the papaya that Vision has to quickly run to make sure it doesn't hit the ground. And then we kind of cut to them putting, Wanda's using her magic to put a crib together in the nursery.
Get the room together and paint it.
Yep, she's using all her magic to paint it, painting a stork on there, which will come into play later. The butterflies, what's that thing? The mobile or the
yes.
They come to life. And they flutter away when she says flutter, right? So we don't know if she's caused that. She thinks she may have. We don't know. And we learn Vision's reading a book, and he now knows that she's 6 months along. So it's been only 2 months quickly in just less than an hour, right? He calculates that the baby will arrive on Friday afternoon, which is in 3 days from when they are currently talking.
But if we're now, this maybe is horribly nitpicking. If the baby grew 4 months in 12 hours, and then grew in another 2 months in, let's say, 2 hours, why would he think? And he's a supercomputer. He's much smarter than I am.
Right?
Why would he think Friday would be the day?
I don't know. Maybe maybe his calculation was not so much months, but trimesters. I don't know.
Maybe he forgot to carry a 1 somewhere.
Maybe. This is where we get their first argument, playful banter of what they want to name their child. Vision wants to name the child Billy, kind of after William Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
And Wanda wants to name the child Tommy. And that's a very short scene, and then we kind of cut to the dining room where Vision is, timing, or, Wanda's timing Vision on putting the diapers on a doll. Just like your normal sitcom, I'm having a child type of stuff, right?
Yes.
So it really nailed that aesthetic here, and we get Wanda starting to experience the Braxton Hicks contractions. Vision reads about in the book, and again, another great sitcom moment. Vision starts reading about when Braxton Hicks lived, when he discovered the contractions.
Starts telling his life story.
She's like, come on, the part that I need to know. And he starts going over the breathing exercises with her, which don't really work, right? She says, I'm still feeling it.
And I obviously, I've never had a child, so I don't know. But it's the typical ones you see in all sitcoms of the typical breathing and
the he who, right?
Yeah, something like that. It's always the same. I don't even know if those are real breathing techniques or if maybe things have evolved since then. But
it's a good point. I don't really know. I think that they had this whole Braxton Hicks thing in Friends with Rachel, and I think Ross did the he who, the breathing. If I remember that right, I know for sure some show I watched did Braxton Hicks before, because that's the only way I knew about it was from the show.
Typically in every show, it helps the man more than it helps the woman.
Yes,
the baby.
Yep, and it happens exactly like that in this, when he starts flying up in the air, and she starts doing the breathing exercise with him and gets him
to calm him down. Yeah.
But yes, this is when Wanda's power starts really to go haywire and causes a power outage, causes the sink overflowing, stuff like that.
Sprinklers to go off.
And we get a great moment here with Dottie. I guess now we know that Dottie and Phil Jones, the guy that was fired from the job in episode 1,
Yes.
Are married. So she's the one that created the 5-course meal and everything. She's trying on earrings, and she asks Phil if they make her look fat. The power goes out, and he says, "Oh, thank God," which was a pretty good one.
Okay, so two things on that,
yeah.
on Dottie. So, one, it doesn't surprise me now that Dottie would do like a 5-course meal. Like, that makes a lot of sense, right?
Yes, yeah.
2, okay. I know this comes up a lot with the whole "does this make me look fat" thing, and every man in the world is scared to tell his wife, say anything, because in all fairness, it's a no-win situation. If you pause for more than like a millisecond, it can cause issues, right?
Right.
If there's any women listening out there, okay, and I don't even know if this happens anymore. It's how long I've been single. Can we please stop asking your man this or significant other this? Like, can we put this to bed? Because in all fairness, like I said, if he takes too long of a pause and cause an issue, and maybe you guys do have such a great relationship where maybe it's not that it makes you look fat, but maybe it doesn't accentuate your body in the correct way, or the way it doesn't make you look as good as you could. But why are you going to put a guy in this situation?
Luckily, I've never been in this situation. So,
but aside from that, yeah, Wanda was the real hero and real MVP of that moment. Because if that power doesn't go out, Phil might be buried in the backyard.
That's true. And we may have even had Herb go right through the stone wall, actually, if the power didn't go out too.
And Emma Caulfield is nowhere in any way, shape, or form fat. Like,
and how really could the earrings make you look fat? None of it makes sense.
I know it's a sitcom trope too. I get it.
Yes.
But like that probably was one of the best and funniest moments of the episode, where he just looks right at the camera and he's like, "Oh, thank you."
Then we get Wanda asking Vision if he thinks the town knows it's her causing this, because they've had some recently close calls. And this is where we get our first real switch, right? Of, it's all laugh track before that, but then Vision starts actually saying, yeah, now that you mention it. And he starts piecing together, like Mr. and Mrs. Hart, I think he mentioned something about the talent show, right? And he's starting to say, like, something is very wrong here.
And doesn't he look like, I saw something somewhere where he kind of breaks the fourth wall and looks directly at the camera and says something.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, like you said, once you start going down that rabbit hole of like the conspiracies and theories of what's going on, and BuzzFeed articles and all this other crap after you watch it, that's one of those.
And for this, we get I put it as Wanda rewinds again, but it's not really a rewind. It's like a cut, right? It like cuts back to him standing up again, and him just saying, like, we're both nervous or whatever, right? Like, it just kind of like he completely skips over that now. He no longer thinks anything is wrong. And then this is when Wanda really starts going into labor or having her first real contractions. And that's when, he floats up into the sky and she gets the breathing pattern. And then the sprinklers go off. And that's the symbol for her water breaking, right? She says, "I think my water just broke." Which is funny that she kind of manifested this in this reality if she's the one causing it as being sprinklers. And then we get the commercial. This is the weakest of the commercials, I think, so far. Now, I will say the writer Jack Schaefer has mentioned, she said that these commercials are important and are building to something. This one, I can't really figure out what. It's a mom having like a rough day, and the commercials for like a bubble bath from Hydra soak, right? So we have Hydra, and it says, unleash like the goddess within, right? The only thing I can think this is a reference to is Hydra is the one that was experimenting on Wanda. They're the ones that help her manifest her powers, which I guess Wanda could be seeing as the goddess within her, right? They're making her what she is with her powers and stuff. That's the only thing I can really piece together from that.
Well, there's that, and there's a theory that someone pointed out that is it the soap or the box the soap comes in has a huge resemblance to the Tesseract.
Yes, the blue square. Yep. That's what people were saying as well. Which is what was used to help her. Well, I guess they were using the Tesseract at times to try to get her powers, because the Mind Stone was in Loki's scepter, which, whatever. So we get back from the commercial break, right? And they're underneath the table because it's still raining. It finally stops the sprinklers, and she opens up the window and gets like a breeze in to dry everything off. And Vision, says he's going to try to call the doctor, and the phones are down, right? Because the power's out, and that sometimes happens. I guess depending on how you have your phone set up, because I know we used to lose our phones when the power went out, I believe. And then he says he's going to go run and get the doctor. And that leaves Wanda alone. And we get some interesting things here that I'm not really sure what to make of it yet, right? We get the stork making a sound in the spare room, but before she can go see what it is, there's a knock on the door. And that's when we get Geraldine, or Monica Rambeau, as she is actually named. And she states that all the pipes have burst in her apartment. I don't know if we want to talk about that right now, or if you want to save it for later.
No.
Okay.
Well, let's pause for a second. Wanda's obviously trying to hide the pregnancy, right? So she's using every trick known to man.
I wrote that too. The classic sitcom moments where not really so much in the show, but like behind the scenes, they'll put characters in looser clothes. They'll put them behind objects like she starts doing, where they're carrying little things to try to make it not noticeable that the actress is pregnant if they're not writing it into the show.
They're always behind a table or a high counter. I remember King of Queens when Leah Remini was pregnant. Like she got fired from her job, so she was on the couch a lot and was always had like a pillow on her lap.
Yes, yeah.
Stuff like that. So they always find a way to disguise it, but eventually people can usually tell, and especially nowadays where everything is out there anyway. Like, people know the actress is pregnant, so now they're picking it apart. But she goes through like every trick in the book to hide her large pregnant belly from Geraldine here.
And what I was going to say about the pipe bursting here is, what brings Geraldine or Monica to Wanda here? She has to know something, because as Agnes is going to tell us, she doesn't actually have a house here.
I was going to bring that up, because so at the same time where Vision is going to get the doctor, he runs into Agnes, and he runs into what's his name?
Yes, it's actually after the doctor. It's after they deliver. He walks the doctor out when he runs into them. Yeah.
But it is brought up. First, there's some whispering going on, like they're staring at him, and there's whispering. So then he's awfully curious about what's going on here. What are you guys talking about? She does bring up the fact that she doesn't have a home here. She doesn't live here. Why can't I remember this guy's name? What's the neighbor's name?
Herb. Yeah.
Herb is about to spill the beans on something, but Agnes stops him. So I don't know. It to me, it seemed like she was sent there with a purpose. Especially now
Yes.
looking back at it, like it wasn't a coincidence, it wasn't an accident that she happened to knock on the door. Like she was sent there, like not only was she sent to this town, but she was sent there at that time for a very specific reason.
And Monica or Geraldine was sent there with a backstory, right? She says her pipes burst in her apartment. We already know people are watching what Wanda is doing from the end of the first episode. They're somehow seeing this broadcast or whatever. Not sure
Yes.
how. So I'm guessing they see the sprinklers go off in her place and think, okay, we can use that this is not just happening to Wanda, but Monica, go in there and say that, you had the same thing kind of happen and try to get in that way because the babies are coming or something, right? Or
It's very Truman Show-esque.
yes, yes. That'll continue, I think, to be a theme throughout the run of the show. But before we get to that, we get this weird moment where Geraldine is talking about her temp job, right? And this is when the stork walks out of the spare room. It's walking around, and Wanda's trying to use magic on it, but it doesn't work. It keeps coming through the smoke or whatever.
It's trying to nip at Geraldine and
Yeah, because she's wearing fish pants, and the stork would eat fish. It's kind of people think that also the fish on Geraldine's pants are representing that she's a fish out of water, if you want to read into it a little bit deeper, because she's the only one so far that's not part of this town. What I did notice as well, that other people have noticed as well, is that Geraldine is really in character here, right? Monica is really into the character of Geraldine at this point. She's really hamming it up sitcom style because she knows, I guess, that this is something that is being kind of broadcasted out to Sword or whoever's watching, and that she's trying to fit in, right? So she's trying to make it fit the style that Wanda is currently in, and she's really hamming it up with the way she's talking. But then when she hears the stork sound, she jumps up, her voice changes, almost like Wanda's changes at like the guy choking and the beekeeper, and she's like, what was that, right? And she starts actually being really scared. And when Wanda gives her the excuse of the ice maker, she goes back into character of finishing up her story with her boss. So to me, I think this shows, and maybe Wanda picks up on this, I don't know, that we now know Geraldine had, I think, agency throughout this whole bit, right? She's trying to, for some reason, infiltrate Westview and try to get in with Wanda. And she's trying to fit into the times, fit into the style of what Wanda's currently doing, and become friends with her for some reason we don't know yet. I have my theories I'll get to at the end of the show. And usually these people are not breaking character the way that Geraldine did. Usually they're breaking character by not like a stork sound. They would be able to play that off no problem. But it's usually like the radio sounds that make them kind of go like stare off in space and get all confused. So I think this shows that Geraldine or Monica is fully in control of what she's doing, and she's trying to leverage this for some sort of information.
yeah, it's as we'll get to, her whole arc is definitely interesting here, as we're going to find out here in a moment. I don't know what to make of Geraldine right now, honestly. I had thoughts initially, and then with a few simple words, she changed those thoughts completely.
Right. And we get, Geraldine's whole story is about how she was, she's faking it out where she was going to get fired, but it turns out she actually gets hired on full time, no longer a temp. And she's, for some reason, trying to go into the spare room. She brings up to Wanda, hey, I'm looking for office supplies now that I'm hired. Do you still keep them in the spare room? She starts walking in, and that's when she sees the crib. And we see the stork has kind of blended back into the picture, like he's standing right where, the stork is painted.
That's painted on the wall is,
And then Wanda has more pain. She drops the vase, and the baby is actually coming. And Monica sits her down to start delivering the baby. We also have Vision getting to the doctor, and the doctor mentions how his car stalled out right before he was going on vacation. This is some
amazing how that would happen.
Yes, right. And he's going to mention something else later that we'll talk about too. But, Vision pretty much says there's no time, and he grabs the doctor and just sprints off as fast as he can. And that's when we get Geraldine helping Wanda deliver the first baby. Vision and the doctor walk in as soon as that's done. And Geraldine, asks the doctor, hey, come into the kitchen with me, right? So they can have some alone time, I guess. And Wanda asks Vision if he would want to meet the child with his real face, and he kind of changes from his disguise.
And that child had the bluest eyes I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he mentions its name, the child's name, Tommy, so he relented, right? But then Wanda starts screaming, and she goes into labor again.
Oh, we didn't know it was gonna be twins.
But we don't see that labor. It just immediately cuts to, Wanda and Vision both holding a child. The doctor thanks Geraldine and says that she would be a great nurse one day, which is another play on that sexism, I guess, because he doesn't think she could be a doctor, just the nurse, right?
Yeah, that's all women can do. They can only be nurses.
And then that's when, as we were alluding to before, Vision says he'll walk the doctor out. The doctor's like, hey, only if we actually walk this time. And that's when we see Agnes and Herb talking. And the doctor also mentions that he will not go on vacation now because small towns are hard to escape. And he's almost having trouble getting the words out, I found.
Makes me wonder if Geraldine and him had a conversation in that kitchen or whatever.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. That might be true. Because what else would have broken that illusion for him?
You would think the doctor would actually want to, even though, yes, granted, I get the new parents would want some time with the children, the doctor would still want to be around the children, like freshly born children's there. But makes me think Geraldine kind of had a conversation with him about some things.
Maybe the children are already like a month old at this point, the way that they're growing.
Yeah, by the time next week episodes airs, they're going to be the size of Sandra's kid on Superstore.
I think they're supposed to be like toddlers or children next week, actually. Because I think next week is going to be based off. I'm not sure if it's the 80s, but I'm not sure if they're going to be doing Full House next week or if they're doing that in 1990.
So I'd love to get like a Facts of Life.
Yes, yeah. Step by Step was another good one that had children.
Or Different Strokes. Different Strokes. Yes.
What are you talking about, Vision?
Yes. Oh my God. If they don't, I swear, if they don't find a way to put that line into one of these episodes. But now I have the Facts of Life and the Different Strokes theme song stuck in my head. So
yeah,
I've wrecked myself for the night.
Strokes theme song. That was a good one. Just small thing too. The other child's name is Billy, so they got the name each.
They both got a child, the name they wanted.
So then Vision goes to talk to Agnes and Herb. He's just trying to make small talk, and they're kind of not. They're not with it, right? They're just kind of like trying to hush tones and talk. And as he starts to go back in, Agnes says, kind of desperately, like, "Is Geraldine with Wanda? Like, where is she?" And he says, "Yes, why?" And that's when we kind of cut back to Wanda and Monica. And Wanda mentions that she is a twin. And she says that, Pietro was her brother, and she starts singing the Sokovian lullaby. And then Monica breaks character from Geraldine and says,
he was killed by Ultron.
Yeah, he was killed by Ultron, wasn't he? And then this doesn't work. I feel like this is Monica trying to either remind Wanda who she is or trying to get information, and it just doesn't work. The name just immediately snaps Wanda out of it.
This is when, as the kids say, ish got real.
Right. And the music is totally different now. She notices the sword logo on the necklace that Monica's wearing. She asks, "Who are you?" And Monica is starting to realize, I shouldn't have done that. She tries to backtrack a bit by saying, she's like, "Why'd you say that name?" She's like, "Oh, I said that you were, very strong and pretty or whatever, right?"
No, what did you say?
Right. And then we cut back to outside, and Agnes is saying, that she's new in town, talking about Geraldine. She's no family, no husband, and Vision's like, well, that doesn't really mean anything. And that's when she brings up the no home, which to Vision, that seems weird, right? Like, how could you live here without a house? Right? And to us, that's supposed to tip us off of, okay, so her pipes weren't really broken then. So what is she doing here? And then Herb says she's here because we are all.
And that's when
where she gets cut out.
Agnes.
Yes, and Vision tries to press on this. We're all what? And that's when Agnes tells Herb to stop, not now. And she tries to play it off and get back into the 70s groove, right? Of I gotta go do this thing and leave. And Herb's just like, all right, I'm going inside. And Vision goes in, and now Wanda's alone. And he asks, where's Geraldine? And she's just very creepy, staring at the children. Very monotone. She had to leave, right? She had to go home. She had to leave. And we see Geraldine is thrown from this bubble reality. Our first time seeing anything outside of the bubble, except for, somebody taking notes. And she lands in a field with all these soldiers and helicopters greeting her, and we start getting Daydream Believer, and it just ends.
And we're in modern times.
Yes, it's modern times. So,
Wanda put the fear of God into me, and I'm just watching the episode. I can't even imagine what Geraldine felt like.
What I like that they did too is the babies started crying more and louder as Wanda was getting more and more upset too. It very raised the tension.
Yeah, her emotions were definitely having an effect on everything. We've seen how angry Wanda can get at various times in the movies.
She almost killed Thanos.
Before. Yeah, she put them things on Thanos where she brought up the fact that he took everything away from her. So she was not playing once Ultron was brought up.
Yeah, it was a wrong move there. And it makes me wonder, can Geraldine get back into the reality now? Or do they have to send somebody else in? Is this where we're going to get, Kat Dennings in her role? Is she going to be coming in now to the reality, trying to do whatever Monica was doing? That's what we don't know.
And at some point as well, excuse me, we everything jumped to widescreen format now. So
that was really cool, going from the 4:3 aspect ratio to the 16:9, which is your normal movie type look.
Wanda's very frightening. She can be at times, without a doubt. Vision's getting very curious as to what's going on here.
Yep.
And everyone is hiding something from these two. So when are they going to find out, and what are they going to find out?
So I've read two theories, right? There's two thoughts here that people think Herb was going to finish his thought, right? His thought being, she's here because we are all blank. Some people think he was going to say trapped, and some people thought he was going to say dead because Vision is dead, right? Vision's not actually trapped. Vision is dead. Are all of these characters dead, or was Herb going to say trapped? What's your thought on that?
I would say that I think everybody's dead. There was something that came out. Saw the headlines. I didn't see who, but I guess one of the actors definitely confirmed supposedly that the timeline takes place after Endgame.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Now I don't know. I don't know who it was. Like I said, I didn't read the article. I just kind of saw the headline and saw it posted like 7 different places. So I'm thinking that nobody else exists. I believe this is definitely just in Wanda's head. And I think this might be like a PTSD or a trauma thing from her having been snapped out of existence herself and then brought back, realizing that Vision is no longer there, and trying to figure out how she's going to go on with her life.
I will say I don't think it's in her head. I do think that, here's my theory. I think that she is behind the creation of that bubble reality, right? For some reason, she's somehow taken over Westview. And either the presence from the military or whoever's sword or whoever's guarding that is to make sure that she doesn't keep expanding it, or they're just monitoring. We don't really know. But my thought is that she's doing this because, like you said, she misses Vision, right? She doesn't want to keep going on without him. So she creates this little reality where she can be with Vision, they can have children, they can have normal, happy lives, perfect reality through these sitcom type stories. And anytime anyone starts to notice anything, she tries to correct it or rewind because it's her perfect life. And then Monica or Geraldine is there to figure out why she's doing this. And maybe she's there to remind her who she is, or they need some sort of information from her. So this is when she is, she's now trying to prompt about Pietro and Ultron, trying to break it so that way Wanda realizes this isn't the real life. I need to stop doing this. But Wanda's just bought into this reality so much that she can't let it go. And I think this might be the beginning of a rift that Wanda somehow creates that then makes the multiverse start showing up or start growing, right? Like it creates a rift in almost reality or time and space. And that is why we get Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which is coming out next year and has Wanda in it. And maybe even some multiverse stuff in Spider-Man 3, as is rumored. I guess we'll see. But that's my thought. I think that, because we do see Geraldine thrown from it, so I think it is something that's really there. We kind of see like it fizzling in the background, in like the, where the spotlights are. You can kind of see like where she shot out from, and it's kind of correcting itself to blending back in. But I still don't know what she's there for, Monica. Maybe Wanda didn't create this, but likes it because of it having Vision and children, and she's like, you know what? I don't want to leave. So when Vision points out something's wrong here, she's like, no, there's nothing wrong here because this is what I want. And if he breaks that illusion for me, I can't enjoy it. And she just rewinds.
Yeah, this may be her happy place, where she's kind of got everything that she ever wanted. You know, she talked about she had Pietro, she lost her brother, which I also saw this was like the first time he's been mentioned since like he died.
Yep.
Um, I don't know why that is. I don't even know why only one of them remained. I mean, I don't know what happened with that.
He got shot.
Well, no, what I mean is like I don't know why only one of them remained in storyline. Like if they
So,
were
from what I
twins, what
from what I
what like
recall, is Joss Whedon wanted to kill somebody off in Age of Ultron. He kept hinting it was going to be Hawkeye and decided to kill off Quicksilver. At that time, Fox also had the rights to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. It was shared rights. So Quicksilver shows up in some of the X-Men movies. So I'm thinking it was almost like a trade-off of maybe Fox gets Quicksilver and Marvel got Scarlet Witch, so they were able to both make movies with them in there, but maybe part of the deal was we can only have one more going forward. But now that they own Fox, I think now they're fine with mentioning him again. I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up.
Yeah, like I said, this could be her happy place. You know, she's lost her brother. Um, she fell in love. She falls in love with Vision. Vision's gone. Um, she was snapped out of existence herself. You know, who knows what happened there. She's brought back, but now she's kind of stuck here herself. So where does she go? You know, how does she cope? What does she manage to do from here on?
Right.
Um, I can't even imagine like how to deal with something like that. Obviously, it's not real, so you can't. But like, it's a lot to put somebody through. This is after being experimented on by like Hydra scientists and things. So it's not like
And
she's had easy go.
In Civil War, she accidentally blew up some people when she was trying to save Captain America. Some civilians. So I mean, she had that as well on her conscience, and the fact that people were then scared of her.
Yeah, and then there was the whole aspect. Was it? Was it? It wasn't Endgame. Was it? It was either Civil War or it was Infinity War, where she kind of realized they were trying to keep her trapped in the house.
Yeah, it was Civil War. Yep, and you know, she had Hawkeye break her out and had to trick Vision, or trap Vision, so that way he would let her leave. So even then, she was already kind of in love with Vision at that point, and he had to.
Yeah, he was actually even helping keep her in there, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. So she's been through a lot.
Yeah, she hasn't had easy life so far.
No. Her parents were blown up, by Stark Industry bombs. So, I mean, it goes all the way back to childhood for her.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts and I listen to a lot of life stories of different serial killers and mass murderers and things. And a lot of them have like, the holy trinity of like bedwetting and getting hit in the head and at early age and abusing animals. And a lot of them have horrible things that happened to them in childhood where you can look at some of them and be like, I don't know if this guy stood a chance. Like, what he did was wrong, but I can kind of see how he ended up how he did. Right. If she went on a tear and like, they did the true crime podcast of Wanda Maximoff there, like everyone could be like, yeah, I can kind of see why she went nuts and decided to blow up half the world.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see here. So just some quick Easter eggs and stuff. There's not a lot, but it was no surprise to me that the kids would be named Billy and Tommy, because guess what? In the comics, her and Vision have two kids named Billy and Tommy. They do become superheroes and Young Avengers themselves by the names Wiccan and Speed. So Billy is Wiccan like like a witch, like Wicca.
Yeah.
Yep. And has powers similar to Scarlet Witch, while Speed has powers similar to Quicksilver. So he can run at supersonic speeds. That's Tommy. From what I've read as well is that Billy is a gay character as well. So
Nice.
if we get that in here, that would be very
Marvel
interesting.
seems to be all about representation.
They are.
I can't see why they would kind of wash that one away.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is that we don't see them fully grown. That at this point we don't get to see that. But I'm assuming somehow these characters are going to become real and be able to leave the reality, and we will probably get them in some sort of Young Avengers movie, along with a lot of the young characters that are coming up in these shows and movies as well.
There was and I don't know if you were going to mention it, there was the little montage and pose that the two of them ended up in that basically replicates one of the poses from the comics.
Yes, from the comic, the Vision and the Scarlet Witch, or Scarlet Witch and the Vision. It was a run in the 80s. But yes, that was another one that I saw as well. I didn't really catch the pose when I was watching it, though. Is it in the theme song?
No, it's I want to say I saw the pose. I didn't know anything about the comic from it. I saw the pose and I thought it came from one of the movies.
Oh, okay.
I want to say it was in the montage where they were in the house or something and something was going on. Maybe when they were using their magic to put stuff together or whatever. I want to say
okay.
something like during one of the musical montages where her and Vision ended up like back to back. And I thought it was from like one of the Avengers movies or something. But then I saw later it was like I saw it and I was like, oh, there's something behind that. I just didn't know what it was. And then I saw it later. It's like, oh, that's from one of the comics. And it's I don't want to say eerily, but it's eerily accurate. The pose is eerily accurate to the comic book pose.
That's pretty interesting. I'll have to watch it again, I guess. Now, gotta watch it the standard 3 times now.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about next week. It is going to be an 80s themed episode if they keep on this. I think there's 6 sitcom based episodes, and then I think the last 3 are going to be maybe even a little longer episodes that kind of start really more figuring out the mystery side of stuff here. I do know that they said they get to a point where they do an 80s and 90s, and then I think the last one is like an early 2000s Modern Family / Office style mockumentary look there.
That would be awesome.
Would I'm really excited for that one. I've seen some of the scenes in the trailer that look like that. So hopefully, we start getting. I do know. I think the Halloween episode is in the 90s, which is just 2 weeks away. There's some Funko Pops for that out and stuff, and I'm excited for that because I think that's when we'll get a lot of answers and more setup in that one specifically. But yeah, I guess any other thoughts on WandaVision episode 3?
No, man, another great job by the people making the show. I can't wait to see what they have in store for us.
Me too. It's only going to get better, I think. I think we're going to keep seeing these episodes that really, episode 1 really only had that one moment at the end that was, kind of giving us a hint here. We now have episode 2 gave us a few of those. Episode 3 gave us the most of those. And I assume that trend is only going to continue. And I can't wait until Friday to catch episode 4. I can't wait to see what it's titled as well now that we have titles. I'm very happy we have titles now. especially that they're all themed off of old sitcom, sayings or whatever. All right. Well, you can catch us on Twitter at 2infinitysaga, TO Infinity Saga, Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond. We're on anchor.fm/Infinity Saga Beyond, though you don't really need to know that if you already found our show, I guess. I'm going to put all these links in the show notes. There's also a Linktree link in there as well. You'll be able to click that. It'll take you to our Spotify page. It'll take you to the Twitter page, the Facebook page. It'll take you to all those, so you don't have to remember any of that. You can also catch Casey and I, breaking down Superstore. It's in its final season. Some of you may have found the show this way. But if you watch NBC's Superstore, it's the final season. We're breaking down each episode. We just talked about Biscuit, which was the latest episode. And hope to catch you all there as well. So have a great rest of your week. And we'll catch you all next time for episode 4 of WandaVision.